I am beating every N64 game, and I mean all of them. The twist is, the next game I play is randomly selected, so I have no clue what's coming next. This is the journey to beating every N64 game. Game number 101, NBA Jam 2000. Released in 1999, this game was developed and published by Acclaim. Now, if you saw my earlier video on NBA Jam 99, you're probably expecting this game to be pretty garbage and generic. I have it linked in the video description if you're interested. I personally had never played this title. My memories of basketball on the N64 were exclusively through NBA Hangtime. Well, a little bit of NBA Courtside with Kobe Bryant as well. I have good memories of NBA Jam on the Super Nintendo, but I had already been quite let down by NBA Jam 99. But who knows, game studios were sometimes innovative with sports titles back in the day, rather than just slapping the new roster on the exact same game like they do now. So really, I didn't know what to expect. Let's get into it. When I saw the main menu, there was something called Jam Play, also an extremely janky looking flame in the corner. Pressing this revealed a beautiful sight. The team selection revealed only 2 players on screen. No team stats or 5-man roster or any of that nonsense. Could it be? Yes, they did it! They brought the game back to a simple 2-on-2 matchup instead of trying to be some dumb basketball simulator. The physics were super unrealistic too. This was a good sign. I quit out and noticed there was an option to create a player. This is always fun to do in pretty much any game. I mean, I spent like 3 hours making my guy look perfect in Oblivion back in the day, even though I'd never see his face again. There were quite a few options for the character creation. It seems quite detailed for this time period. Before I knew it, my guy kinda started to look like Dr. Robotnik. Well, I mean, sort of. I mean, he's got a similar mustache and he has round glasses. It's sort of there. A frustrating thing though was you barely had any stat points to allocate towards your created player. Like, the stats are just awful. It seemed like it would be too much of a pain to play the game with him, so I decided to not use him in beating the game. The main single player mode in this game is the tournament, so we'll be doing that to beat this game. Man, there were so many nostalgic names I saw here. Latrell Sprewell, Allen Iverson, Vlade Divac, Dikembe Mutombo. I actually ended up settling on the Lakers with the ridiculous combo of Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. You only control one player of the two, so I decided to play as Kobe. My first game was up against the Vancouver Grizzlies. Yeah, remember, they used to not be in Memphis. They had Sharif Abdur-Rahim and Mike Bibby. The first thing I noticed, and probably literally everyone noticed when playing this, is how freaking massive Shaq's player model is. Like, that is not a human. That's a moving tree, you know, like an ant. Oh my god, why is he so big? You might think, oh, they probably just made all the tall players look like that. No they didn't. No one even comes slightly close to this size. Like, I get, Shaq is a very large human being, but come on, man. Hey, this model doesn't stop him from doing crazy dunks though. Look at him go between his legs like it's nothing. This game was completely back and forth. Both teams making shots like crazy. I was starting to realize how overpowered Shaq was though. He was even making jump shots, which just should not happen. Despite being controlled by the AI, he had most of my points. At halftime, I was up 40-29. We kept applying pressure and won the game 70-60. It asks you to save between games, and why the heck does this game take up an entire memory card? It feels like a lot of these sports games did that. My next game was against the Los Angeles Clippers. You might be wondering how this tournament mode works. Well, you have to play a game against every single team in the entire NBA. So, yep, that's gonna take a while. I'll take this time to talk about the graphics and audio. I feel like the graphics are pretty solid. Nothing special, but they're pretty good for N64, especially how the court looks. During a game, you'll hear a light music track being played that isn't overpowering at all, and I think it fits well with the game. There's also Marv Albert doing commentary, and he's a legend in NBA broadcasting, so that's a great choice. Odom gets it stolen. He is a flamethrower. Anyway, I beat the Clippers 76-49. Game 3 was against the Bulls with Elton Brand and Hersey Hawkins. I barely scraped by 66-61. I was starting to notice the computer was getting a bit better with each game. The Denver Nuggets got crushed though, 69 to 45.
45. 45. 45.
We were up against the Nets next, with the guy on the cover of the last NBA Jam, Keith Van Horn. This one was real close and made it to overtime with the score tied after 4 quarters. It was super back and forth, folks. With about a minute left to go in overtime, Kobe inbounds it directly to the Nets. Horrible pass. Shaq rejects the shot 3 times in a row, but Keith Van Horn drains the 3-pointer, putting the Nets up by 1. Kobe then answers with a wide open 3-pointer, and Kobe runs the clock a bit and nails a second 3-pointer, putting Los Angeles up by 5. The Nets in trouble now, about 15 seconds to go, and Kobe inbounds it to the Nets once again. The Nets only down by 1 point now, but Bryant sprints around the court, successfully running out the clock. The Lakers barely take the win, 92 to 88 in overtime. What a game. Whew, already struggling to beat the computer, this was not good. I could tell the rubber banding was starting to kick in. I took down the Wizards 70 to 49, then the Celtics 70 to 50. Barely scraped by the Dallas Mavericks 70 to 65. I beat the Golden State Warriors, Cleveland Cavaliers, Toronto Raptors, Seattle Supersonics, Minnesota Timberwolves, Charlotte Hornets, Phoenix Suns, Sacramento Kings, then I had quite a close call with the Milwaukee Bucks. It was here that I realized something. See, there's a mechanic in the game I haven't talked about yet called being on fire. If you make 3 shots in a row with the same player, you'll be on fire and you get severely buffed. However, if the other team makes a basket between any of those 3 shots, you won't be on fire. I found a workaround for this in that if you goaltend, it keeps your streak to get on fire. Goaltending meaning that you block a shot after it started descending. So I was playing as Kobe trying to do this, but it was kind of hard because he's not that tall. I realized if I played as Shaq, it would be infinitely easier to goaltend most of the computer's shots. Plus, Shaq's dunk stat is essentially maxed out, so it wasn't too hard to score 3 shots in a row. With this in mind, I decided to play as Shaq from now on. Hey, did you know that Shaq only made 1 3-pointer in his entire career? When you get on fire, you can see the net burn up and a flame come from the rim when you make it. Now, what benefit does being on fire give you? Well, it makes you shoot really well. And I mean really well. Despite Shaq's shooting stat being absolute trash, he will literally make every single shot, as long as he's a decent amount past half court. Along with that, you won't get called for goaltending when you're on fire. You can see here that it's kind of overpowered, as I was up 20 to 2 at the end of the first quarter. The only flaw of this strat is if the computer makes a shot, I'll no longer be on fire and have to work my way back up to it. It feels near impossible because the rubber banding kicks in hard because of the huge gap in the score. With this, I crushed the Pistons 60 to 38. Now I went on a spree. Beat the Houston Rockets, Orlando Magic, Miami Heat, Philadelphia 76ers, Atlanta Hawks, Los Angeles Lakers, Utah Jazz, Indiana Pacers, Portland Trail Blazers, New York Knicks, and finally the San Antonio Spurs to complete my defeat of every single NBA team. I expected to be showered with glory and told I'm the best, but instead it showed I had a new game. It displayed it as the Spurs again, but it showed 2 silver players named Love and Buffington. Who the heck are these people? When it went into the game, it showed Buffington as a toucan and Love as an invisible person. Plus, we were outside at some random court in the city. It turns out there was a final secret team left to beat. I immediately noticed this team was much better than any of the previous ones. It was so common for them to push me when I tried to go for a dunk, as well as knock me down when I was on defense. It was basically the feeling of the rubber band kicking in on the other games, except now it was that way from the very start. It felt tough to get 2 shots in a row, let alone 3. I suffered my first loss of the entire game here. Well, I would have if I didn't rage quit. I loaded up the match again, and this time I was against an eagle and a rhino. In this attempt, I did manage to get Shaq on fire. I got up 18 to 2 before they broke my streak. But man, the rubber banding kicking in on this team is just insane. It's like I'm playing against a task. They slowly started coming back, and I was up 36 to 22 at halftime. The lead just kept shrinking more and more until they had made back-to-back shots to be down by 1 point. I ended up losing 66 to 64, and man, this team made me pretty upset. Especially the part where my shot just glitched and got launched into the atmosphere.
With the spin move.
What the heck? Plus, they can just dunk on Shaq and knock him down. That would definitely not happen. Well, I guess an alligator wouldn't be playing basketball either, but still. Finally, after over an hour, after going up against a wolf and a baby, I managed to win 56 to 52. Good riddance, man. It doesn't really acknowledge you beating them or anything like that, which felt kind of disappointing. But I had beaten every team in the game now, so I called this beaten. For beating that team, I did unlock all their looks for creating a custom player, which is pretty cool. I did decide to at least check out the simulation mode, and man, it is a completely different world. It takes on a much more realistic physics set with all the normal rules of basketball. Plus, with 10 people on the court, the game lags quite a lot. I just don't see who would want to play this when the other mode exists, but I guess it's neat that it's an option. But yeah, that's about it for this one. Game complete. So yeah, there you have it, my journey to beating NBA Jam 2000. I'll admit, I was pleasantly surprised by this. It's quite a step up from NBA Jam 99, so kudos to the devs for making a change. It plays smooth and I could see this being quite fun playing with your friends. However, it's not that great playing by yourself. Sure, you can enjoy it for a little bit, but it gets quite repetitive after a while. The create a character feature was cool too, and I thought the commentary during the game was great. In the end, I gave it a 5.5 out of 10 for enjoyability and a 6 out of 10 for difficulty, only due to that final game. Hey, thanks for watching the video. Have a sneak peek at the next game. We've got 289 games on the list. Could get anything. 3, 2, 1, go. 84. What's that? I don't really know what this is. We're playing Forsaken 64. But yeah, if you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. It helps the channel a lot. And if you like this series, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one.